Hey, SOTA POD listeners, you can catch every episode across our network on the SOTA POD audio and video feeds, the Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, wherever you get the good stuff. And of course, every week, Fellowship of the Rink dropping generally on Wednesdays. On today's Fellowship of the Rink, we have recap from Gophers versus Boston College. Also a little look ahead to just what an incredible rivalry and a big weekend coming up against North Dakota. We've also got Mike Russo and Joe Smith jumping in to break down just what they're seeing initially here for the Minnesota Wild. 3 games in. This is recorded before the Dallas game. Keep that in mind. This episode of Fellowship of the Rink brought to you, as always, by our incredible friends, Waggle Golf. Everybody go to getyourwaggleon.com. Throw in promo code SP10 to take 10% off your entire order. Primarily, everyone, if you haven't already, go and check out right away the new corduroy hat collection. Magnificent. And, of course, our new friends, Zambonis on 7th. The best place for you to celebrate, enjoy, have great food, great beverages before, during, and after every Minnesota Wild game. Now, Gopher talk. Sundays are fun days at Zambonis on 7th Restaurant and Bar. They love hockey, they love St. Paul, and they love bingo. Their charitable gambling sponsors are St. Paul Capitals Youth Hockey. And they've partnered with them for Sunday bingo with great cash prizes, including a $1,000 coverall game. Take advantage of free street parking on Sundays and stop in for great food and drink, cash prizes, and of course, THC raffles during Zambonis on 7th, Wake and Bake, and Smash Mouth Pizza Brunch Bingo Sundays. Come get it. All right, fresh off another, well, I guess you can't even say weekend of Gopher hockey when the games are played on Thursday and Friday. That takes us into a whole philosophical question on, like, when does the weekend start? Is it when you clock out on Friday? Is it 12 a.m. going into Saturday?
I don't have a weekend, so I'm the wrong person to ask about this.
Yeah, you have the weirdest existence.
Like, Sundays are maybe sometimes my day off.
we're not going down that rabbit hole, but we've got a good matchup between BC and Minnesota. I was able to be there on Thursday. I keep on wanting to say Friday, but Thursday, and then ended up getting tagged in for fatherly duties. So Isha randomly just texts me as the game started. He's like, "Yo, you at this game?" I'm like, "Are you?" "Yeah, I bought tickets last minute." Like, okay. So we got both perspectives, but let's talk the high marks first. Javon Moore, first career Gopher goal. Great to have it. He's like, you can tell there's like little like stutter steps here and there, like him trying to figure out his spot, but he's gonna be a beast once he like gets comfortable and kind of comes into himself. Him and Rombach, I feel the same way about, like, both of them. Once they're like fully comfortable, they're going to be menaces. There's still some work to do there. We have the Brody clan, Brody 1, Brody 2, factoring in for the other 2 goals for the Gophers on the weekend. And Isha, I didn't even look it up. I should have. I don't know what the active streak was, and it really became a very fun joke for us, a good copium, if you will. The streak of shootout losses is done, finished. We don't have to talk about it.
I didn't even know there was a loss streak.
Oh, dude, now I have to look it up.
I have my own gripes with college hockey shootouts in that, like, you don't even win the game.
It's all about, the weird college standings. It does, I believe, count for a win if it's conference play, but I might be misspeaking there. You have to have a winner, I think, for Big Ten play.
Right.
But because it's non-conference, I think they do just call it a tie. But it doesn't matter because you needed that bad juju erased. I'm going to see if I can pull that up. But you were there watching. Let's just talk the shootout specifically.
Oh, I mean, what I will say was electric because the game was a pretty tight game overall. And then with BC coming back late, when, typical Minnesota sports, the Gophers just had to hold on a little bit longer. That Mariucci wasn't full, but when the shootout was going on, it sounded like it. So the energy that it brought was awesome. And right after the first goal, it like the boys were just oozing confidence that we just knew that it was going to be wrapped up and delivered. And 2 amazing goals as well from Mooney has nasty hands and skates like the wind. He was awesome throughout the entire game. Like, did he get pushed off the puck at times? Yes, but he was right back there in the battle.
He's the only one I'm not going to be mad at though. Like
exactly,
tries, dude. He goes out and the body craves contact and he doesn't back away from shit.
No, I thought honestly in game 2, and just to sum up the shootout, like it was electric. Every opportunity was great. Airey had a hell of a game overall and, brought that same energy to the shootout. So I wasn't, based on how they played, I wasn't scared that they were going to lose in the shootout. I figured they were going to capitalize on it because the biggest takeaway from that game was the Gophers capitalized on all their opportunities. They just got bullied overall at every play. Every play. Like at the end of every whistle, someone was in their face washing or something. The Gophers, every hit that they let up on, they got pwned at the end. So it was just kind of annoying to see that there wasn't a good flow from the Gophers overall. There's a few lines that played a little bit more aggressive. I'd say that like Brody Lamb, the middle stats, and Mooney really like held their own and actually made some statements in return. And it got just a little chippy at the end from both sides. But overall, I would say like the Gophers finished a couple more of their checks and just kind of matched that energy. Didn't have to go full psycho as like some of the guys did on BC,
sure,
but it worked because BC tied it up towards the end.
Dude, it's so much funnier than it should be. Before Friday night, Minnesota's only home shootout victory was on December 30th, 2007 against Air Force in the Dodge Holiday Classic consolation game.
That's crazy. No wonder the crowd was so fired up.
They had lost 11 straight shootouts overall and 11 straight home shootouts. And before LJ Mooney and Tanner Ludke's goals, they had missed 28 straight shootout attempts and had converted just 1 of their last 37 attempts. And the actual day counter from 07, which again, like that factors in how many times are they actually in shootouts, but still the streak was 2,065 days.
That's probably the worst record in like shootout hockey globally, like across every single league imaginable. So, okay, that's why the crowd was losing their minds. I get it now.
Oh no, 100%.
Good thing I captured some of the video.
Yeah, I
didn't understand the significance.
Like, I'm almost sad that the joke doesn't exist anymore because it was always like fun to just fall back on that when you're sad that the team lost.
That's why so many people. There was a few people in our section who were leaving, and I was like, "Why are you guys leaving?"
It's like we know what's gonna happen.
Well, it was insane leaving. Yeah. It's insane leaving that parking lot as well after games.
And of course, it's 2 guys that are new Gophers. We needed fresh blood. We needed a kid out of Pennsylvania, and we needed a guy that's already played elsewhere and has scored a college shootout goal before coming to the Gophers, bringing all the good juju. Shootout fixed. It's not going to matter in the postseason, but it's just, yes, one of those things that you get way too excited about when you shouldn't, but with the history, you have to. Yeah. But you hit on it. Like the biggest comments I was getting on God damn it, there I did it again on Thursday were about the physicality. And in the first period, I actually like kind of saw it differently. I pushed back a little bit. Like Rombach was one of the guys that got picked on, and I thought in the first period he was holding his ground. He was positioning in front of the net and at least trying to box guys out. As the game went on, he and the whole team, the physicality was lacking in general.
It's like you can't even pull like, oh, you're just Canadian, when it's like they literally held up on some of their checks. And it's like, I'm not asking you to bury this guy. I'm not asking you to do anything like that. Just show that like I'm in this. Not like, oh, I'm not even going to hit you and just go for the puck. And then 2 seconds later, boom, you get ramsacked. It's like, that's on you. And now the puck's on the other side. Yeah.
Ransacked.
Did I say that?
No, you said ramsacked. Oh, ramsacked. Like you ram into someone. Like that's how
honestly it makes more sense.
Goddamn. But it was very funny that the biggest guy on the team and a guy that's gotten a lot of hate, I'd say, just in the prospect circles, the big man, you know who I'm talking about, Boston Bruins draft pick, fresh out of prep school.
Oh,
you don't know who I'm talking about?
I don't.
The Canadian prep kid that's like 6'9". I think he's actually like 6'7".
What's his name?
I can't tell if you're messing with me or not.
I'm not. I must.
You don't remember Z freaking out about them taking him?
I remember Z talking about the guy, but like I ain't keeping tabs on him like I am Stevie Lescovar right now.
You're really gonna try and devolve this into Stevie Lescovar now?
Always. I mean, at least it's like Wild related. I mean, I could be talking about friggin' New York's kid, but I won't.
How did we make that spin?
Well, he's just doing his thing out there, and I know you're a huge fan, so
I don't care about him one way or the other. It's more everyone else's obsession.
It's just because we don't see that type of player anymore. Speaking of that type of player, though, Ryan Reeves got in a good scrap recently, and is it weird now that
you're talking pro hockey right now?
sorry, I'm just saying, is it weird that like no visor now is weird? You know, I was so used to it for so many years, and now I saw Reeves out there, and I was like, oh my god, no visor.
No, it definitely catches your attention, and it is weird going back and forth between pro and college too. Just like it almost helps normalize, like, yeah, whatever they're wearing is just whatever at this point. I don't care.
I love the college hockey guys coming into the NHL, like Faber and Zeev, and just having the visor like flipped out as high as possible.
Yeah,
I saw as soon as I saw Booms, I was like, oh yeah, let's go.
Yep, that is the move. The name that's actually really interesting that was playing for BC that like I had to do a triple take on Thursday night. Got it that time, yes. Luka Radivojevich.
Okay.
Son of Branko Radivojevich. Wild player. And he is like labeled as being Slovakian, but his birthplace is listed as Edina, Minnesota.
Oh, no way.
So that's very fun.
I know the player now you're talking about. I think he was number 2 on Boston College. I don't know his name, but yeah.
He was not.
Not number 2? Okay, well.
He was number 2.
I just remember number 8.
Oh, number 2 is also very big. Sorry, you are correct.
Okay. I was gonna say like
Kostadinsky's a big boy.
Yeah, so he was the noticeable big boy.
I didn't think I'd have to drag you through it that long. Dean Letourneau.
Oh, okay. No,
Moving on.
He was the noticeable monster.
He was funny because I watched him like literally go for a check. I might have been on Cal Thomas. I don't remember, but like didn't even know that Letourneau was coming, and Letourneau just tumbled. Not a great look for a big boy like that. But anyways, the physicality, big thing to focus on. But this is a good team. Like I think the 10 and 11 rankings respectively 11 and 12 maybe it was for these two teams. Like I think they're both top 10 teams. I think BC, if they figure a couple things out, like I still think they're a fringe top 5 team. They've got some really good players. But they're doing the same thing as the Gophers, big losses.
Both in kind of a similar spot in that like a lot of their like top prospect and like right to the NHL team type of guys are gone, right? So they're both by committee teams now with younger guys coming up in big roles. So I actually really liked the matchup, and it was good that similar rankings. Yeah, I thought it was a really good win in that as well. It's like,
well, the most important thing though, you mentioned, again, I didn't watch the Friday game, so I can't speak to it, but what do you recall your big bright point for Friday night?
I mean, it took a while for the cycle to get going, but once they were in the offensive zone, every opportunity for me, they crushed it. And then on the other side of the ice, Airey was awesome.
That's what I wanted you to talk about.
Yeah.
He's gotten a lot of grief. People are like very skeptical. Talk about him stepping up.
Oh, so focused, tracked the puck well. If there wasn't anybody in front of him, kind of like Gustafsson in that first Wild game, he was saving it. Great up against the post. There was some like spinorama attempts, and he was on it every single time. I thought, yeah, didn't get out of position, didn't get caught up out of play. Played the puck extremely well. So I just felt like I had no, I had no bad things to say about him that game. And then, like, again, once the shootout started, I was like, there's no way he's letting one in unless it's like the nastiest, Mike Ribeiro type move out there.
Mike Ribeiro, come on.
Cheeky.
You can go better than that. All right. Let's talk then. Anyone that doesn't know, somehow, Isha, extremely thoroughly Canadian, pretty much always said that Canadian junior hockey was light years beyond anything that college
grew up
hockey
in the
was.
90s with a junior A and WHL club in my backyard. So,
Mm-hmm. But now the best players from that top league are fleeing for college hockey
for $500,000 to $1 million, I should say.
It wasn't that much, actually. But anyways, that being said, before that shift happened, he accepted college hockey as a real sport because the gateway game for him, I took him to, it would have been 2 years ago, I think. 2 or 3?
3.
3. That hits.
I know.
3 years ago, he went with me to 3M Arena in Mariucci as they hosted University of North Dakota Fighting Hawks. And he left that game being like, yeah, college hockey rocks, go Gophers, fuck North Dakota. That was basically the message.
Yeah, I wanted to be a Bemidji fan so bad, and I was like, yeah, it's not going to happen now. Yeah, and you know what? Like, there may not have been any fights on the ice, but there were some fights in the stands, which was, I think there were 2 little Donnybrooks. It was just like the fans were so passionate, and again, like,
well, dude, that was the Rhett Pitlick stick game too.
Yeah, he freaking threw the stick in the audience.
That was like 10 rows
close to our section. Like, wasn't like a few rows in front of us?
It was like 10 rows in front of us. Yeah.
Okay, well, still wasn't like the opposite side of the rink. But yeah, no,
it was incredible. I'm still to this day not even mad that he did it. I loved it.
Yeah, obviously it's like unique because it's such a rivalry game, but the traveling fans were awesome. The home fans were great. Couple scraps in the audience. This crazy chick in front of us with her like family. And by the way, like she was texting with like the text size on like ×10, so like everybody around could just like read it. And she's like, these guys behind me, they suck, and blah blah blah. And we're just
she's also saying it to us, but
yeah. Well, that was like to start. We're just talking about the game and like, soft penalty. Oh, what the hell, ref, blah blah blah. And then at one point she looks back, she goes, "Can you guys just shut the F up?" And we're like, oh my God. Her mom's
Your parents look over there like, sweetie, please stop.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. She's texting the whole time. It's like, you traveled here. I'm sorry that you came to the belly of the beast and thought that like, there's people fighting over there in like section whatever. So like chill out.
Fans are in for one this weekend as they travel to North Dakota. I
want to go so bad to a game up there.
Dude, it's unreal. I've only been once. I went God, I think it would have been 4 years ago now then. Went with our buddy from the RIP in Peace brewery formerly known as Revelation Ales up in Halleck. But dude, I was in the nosebleeds of nosebleeds and it was still a great seat.
Nice.
And I actually didn't get nearly the guff that I thought I would. And the Gophers won that game pretty handily too. Like I thought I was going to get like attacked. But people were like pretty chill. Like we hate each other, but it's generally like from a place of respect. Like I wouldn't hate them so much if they weren't so good and if it wasn't such a great rivalry. Like Wisconsin's my exception. Wisconsin I just hate because they exist, period.
Yeah.
Like it's not a respect thing. I don't respect them at all. North Dakota, I hate them, but it's in a respectful way. And I think like you see it from like guys like Gage Osmus all the time. And like that guy bleeds green more than anyone. He will come out and say like, I hate all of you, but like, I hate you because like,
yeah, but without you, this wouldn't be
the thing here.
Yeah. Without you, being a fan of North Dakota wouldn't be as much fun.
It is. People can argue however they like. There is no better hockey rivalry than Minnesota, North Dakota. And that goes for pro and college.
Yeah. It's so funny. For so many years, Calgary Flames fans were like, oh, there's a rivalry between Vancouver and Calgary. And it was like, dude, the Sedins literally, I think, beat you like 20-3 in their time with the Canucks. So just there was never a rivalry. There was never a rivalry. I feel like that's how people talk about Wisconsin these days. It's like, we're not a fan, but like there's no rivalry. Gophers pretty much always win.
But no. I'm saying like the existence of the state, the university, like I just don't want anything to do with any of Wisconsin. Some of the people are fine.
As a Toronto sports hater, I respect it.
The fans, I just like we don't get along.
Again, as a Toronto sports hater, nothing but respect for that take.
But that's what we've got. A big matchup. We don't have the updated rankings yet, but I know North Dakota did just sweep St. Thomas, which like I don't know. Maybe they'll prove me wrong once they start playing in their new barn, but I don't think they're going to be anything to write home about. Like if they can squeak into the top 20 throughout the season, they'll be happy. I think they were 19 coming into it. They'll be fine. Like they're a well-coached team. They're on the come up, but I think we got a little out ahead of the skis a couple years ago when everyone's like, oh, they're coming for the Gophers. It's like, eventually I agree. Like they are in a position where they can absolutely do big things once they're in the NCHC.
It is really cool to see the rise so fast.
Full recruiting classes in, like they will be a problem. They are not that problem yet. They're just.
Well, I remember you telling me when like, when the program went D1 that oh, this is gonna be like a 10-year project, and it's like we're 3 years in, and it's amazing to see the development. But yeah, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, I definitely didn't give enough respect to just the location, right?
Yeah,
like. Being in the Twin Cities, that matters. It does.
Yeah. Well, I was talking to some friends too, and they said where like the high schools in that area were feeders to other, private teams schools now in programs. Well, now they have the home team.
Yep. So that'll be interesting to see develop.
Yeah. Wait, hold on one sec. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I know you're a fans player. Wasn't Jordan Schrader a St. Thomas high school kid?
Yeah, St. Thomas Academy.
So there you go, right? Like those talents are going to probably.
Tommy Novak, another one.
Yeah, okay. I just knew Schrader because I know you love Schrader, and so many Canucks fans wanted him to succeed.
If Phil Kessel didn't exist, Jordan Schrader would hands down be my favorite Gopher.
Yeah, Ballard can go to hell, but Schrader, I'm just kidding. Keith Ballard seems like an awesome guy. I'm very salty Canucks fan.
Yeah, clearly. But no, big matchup this weekend. Again, two teams that should be ranked pretty similarly. Like I can't see Gophers going down too far based on a matchup with BC that was more or less a wash. North Dakota can't rise too much from getting 2 wins against St. Thomas. So like we're talking somewhere in the range of like 8-12 matchup. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be fun too to see they got a couple of your guys down there now from the old WHL.
Yeah.
It is weird and unfortunate that North Dakota has become such a revolving door. Like feels like they are so aggressive in the transfer portal every year. You never know who their goalie is going to be season to season. It takes away a little bit, but like, I don't care. The rivalry will never fade. Whenever they match up, the hate is going to run deep.
Yeah. And I know I'm the filling guy here, so I just want to get this in because I don't know if I'll be on the show or talk with you or Joe about this before it happens. But in a month's time, end of November, huge team coming to Mariucci, and I'm going to try to hit that one up too because to see another WHL kid, the biggest
Penn State,
the biggest star from the WHL who left in Gavin McKenna, going to be playing with Penn State there, as well as some other nasty players and. Iserman.
But like this is what we'll end it on because it was insane. Anyone can be upset, not upset, whatever, with how the Gophers played, lacked physicality this weekend. Thursday night was like unhinged college hockey night. It's why we don't play college hockey on Thursdays typically. Penn State goes down 6-4 to Clarkson. Michigan State goes down 4-3 to New Hampshire. That's 4 and 2 in the country respectively. And On banner night, Western Michigan loses 3-2 to Ferris State. It was unbelievable watching all of that unfold. College hockey's crazy. Every weekend, you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's nuts. I was talking to a couple people, then I saw your post about it too, and I was like, everyone's just losing their minds right now.
Mm-hmm. But
I'm
that's
into
a wrap. We'll get into more. I'm sure there will be no shortage of things to talk about on the Gophers following a weekend in Grand Forks. I almost said Fargo. Oh, all right. On to Wild Hockey. Zamboni's on 7th Restaurant and Bar at 174 West 7th Street, right across the street from Grand Casino Arena. We're going to keep calling it the X. More than just your go-to spot before, during, and after all your favorite downtown events, Zamboni's on 7th is now your spot for late-night downtown eats. On game days, event days, and plain old regular days, Tuesday through Saturday. Zamboni's on 7th is now serving their delicious tavern-style pizza, as well as fried specialties late into the night. Check out their menu online at zambonison7th.com or stop by for a few beers, cocktails, or sodas and dig in. Zamboni's on 7th. Before, during, and after. Way after. All right. We have officially started the Minnesota Wild season. And as such, we got Joe Smith, Mike Russo here to talk about. And guys, let's just start with, what do we think so far? Blanket statement.
Well, first of all, Joe, do you recognize the hotel room I'm in? That blinds?
Oh, the blackout blinds, or whatever it is. So,
yep. Do you recognize this hotel?
Is it the Dallas Westin?
You had a traumatic experience here once.
The Dallas Westin?
No, the Dallas. Wasn't it at the Marriott that the thing?
It was at the Marriott. Yeah, it was
yeah.
at Marriott when I thought my life was in danger the last time I was in Dallas.
So story.
Yeah, tell the story.
Which is why Russo's on this trip. Partly, the last trip to Dallas I was at, I had like a upgraded room, so it had like a hallway and it had like an extra like living room area. But it was like 3 a.m, and all of a sudden I heard the door open, like not a knock on the door, just like the door just opening, like the sound of it. And so I was like freaked out. I'm like, what is going on here? And so like I get up and it's all dark, right? And I'm looking down the hallway. All of a sudden there's this guy with this like wheeling a cart, with like a drill and stuff. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing here? And a maintenance guy, apparently. They said allegedly. I never found out who the guy was or what, but at 3 a.m. to have a maintenance guy allegedly coming in to fix something like a router or something like that was a little odd. So I had a fun conversation with the manager the next day. And I now have 10% share of Marriott. Thank you very much.
Yeah. I was actually hoping that I kept my door unlocked last night, hoping it would happen to me. I would own Marriott if that happened to me. I would have a free trip to Hawaii if this happened to me. I'd have 500,000 Marriott points if that happened to me. Did you, by the way, know that like apparently we've been mispronouncing Marriott for like ever? Did I send you that video?
Marriott? Is it Marriott?
Yeah, it's Marriott apparently. So, Yep. And 3 years ago when the playoffs were here, I was getting death threats. So far, both Joe and me love coming to Dallas. So
if there could be any other playoff matchup but the Wild in Dallas, that'd be great. Even Winnipeg.
Exactly what it'll be.
But yeah, I mean, the start of the season, like clearly, some interesting games so far. Like you go from Monday night's game where Wallstedt had a heck of a performance and bounced back after they coughed up the third period lead there to come through and win. So game 1 was just in St. Louis with the 5-1 win and a power play showing up. And I don't know what to make of the Columbus game, Mike, but to be start the season 2-1, heading into this 5-game road trip, obviously puts them in a better footing. But there's still some questions on this team that need to get answered. But overall, there's also a lot of positives to get going on with this team.
Yeah, definitely. And one of those positives is the power play. 8 power play goals right now. Their penalty kill is actually been really good. I know they gave up the 5-on-3 goal a couple nights ago, and then last night had the one in the third period. But it's been really good. Obviously, the huge 4-on-3 kill in overtime yesterday. But their special teams have been good. You know, who would think it that, you know, with a team that's usually really good 5-on-5, that right now 5-on-5 scoring is their biggest concern. You know, their top line's been outstanding. They haven't gotten much production from any of the other lines. Obviously, Hartman scored a couple of huge goals in opening night in St. Louis. So right now, more to like than not like. But you know, going into a 5-game road trip, which tonight we know is going to be really tough against Dallas on a second of a back-to-back when they're rested. You know, that's where a lot of the concerns that I have could rear its ugly head. You know, how long can you keep Boldy and Kaprizov together if it's just going to be simple for these 5 teams on the road to check them? You know, really focus in on one line. So they've got to figure out a way to get the second line going. I think Johansson there actually works better right now than anybody else. The question is, can Tarasenko at even strength get going? He has 3 power play assists, but hasn't done much at even strength. I thought their fourth line looked much better than it did in its first 2 games yesterday. So you're off at center makes sense. They just sent Hunter Haight down, which makes a lot of sense. Iowa's off to a 0-2 start, and they'll get him playing and a lot of minutes. The big question I have, Joe, is David Jiricek next? I don't know when this pod comes out, so maybe we'll have that answer by then. But I think with 8 defensemen on the roster and Hunt being clearly a waiver risk because Columbus would just likely take him back and put him right in Cleveland. If Jiricek's the 8th defenseman on the trip and they get out of tonight's game healthy, I think they send Jiricek right to Charlotte tomorrow on the same plane Hunter Haight's on. I think they'd be going to Charlotte, but regardless, I don't think there's any reason to really carry 8D right now. I think getting him playing makes a lot of sense. We'll see.
Yeah, he needs to play. And again, there's a lot of things to like about Jiricek. I think there's, he's got the size, he's got the shot, he's some offensive instincts. There's tools there. Just he's not a finished product yet. Very much a work in progress. And when you have some of the mistakes that he's made in the games, I don't think necessarily the coaching staff trusts him completely yet. And they're in a position now where every point, even early in the season, matters. The road trips can be very difficult. That they probably feel more comfortable. Obviously having Bogosian, who's played well, I think. With William in the third pair, and then they've changed the pairs around for Monday's game. So nothing wrong with him getting more playing time, and he'd play top pair minutes in all situations in Iowa. And so I think he'll be back, of course, if he is indeed sent down. But there's no need for him to be watching the press box with Goligoski or me or you, whoever. So I think it's important for him to play.
Yeah. I think it was good to have that one game the other day where he sat with Goligoski the whole time, but Goose isn't going to be on the road trip, so it makes sense to have him go down. And that St. Louis game was a perfect example where sometimes eye tests is more valuable than analytics. And he might have been +3 that game, and their analytics for Bogosian and Jiricek might have looked fine. But, one big reason for that is that the mistakes he made, St. Louis just wasn't efficient with them and didn't even get shot attempts off. So he had the one mistake that he made where he put the puck on Thomas's stick, but Thomas overskated the net and didn't get a shot off. So that doesn't even get measured into Jiricek's numbers that night. And same thing when he got walked at the blue line and took the penalty. Same exact thing. So I don't think he was very good that night. So I just think that that would make a lot of sense. But we'll see. I mean, this is obviously conjecture.
And I think the fans ask, how do you know if the guys are ready or can be ready unless you give them a chance, right? People talk about that with a year off.
They've given him a chance.
Yeah, what I'm saying, we had that column on Monday, the Insider, they obviously have these young guys, they want to play them and they want to give them a chance, but John Hynes put under more pressure than anybody in the organization, more than Guerin, more than anybody else. He wants to win games and he has to put guys that he trusts there. So it's a balancing act of giving them enough chances while also knowing if you have capable guys on your roster to play, you play the best team that gives yourself the best chance to win. Yeah,
and that's why you have a minor league is, the Iowa. That's where he should work out some of these kinks. He's got all the raw talent in the world, Jiricek, but he makes 2 or 3 plays, and he did throughout every preseason game that he was in that just what are you doing? It's hockey sense things. It's knowing where to be on the ice. It's things like that. And just talking to a lot of the Columbus people the other night who obviously are familiar with Jiricek more so than even us, they say that's been his MO. We talk so much about his skating when he got here, but skating to me is not an issue with him at all. It is more upstairs and making continually making the same mistake over and over and over again. So that's got to stop, and they can't afford it when points are so critical in the early season to have him making those type of mistakes.
Can you guys explain for fans just like what is the gap there? Like, is it realistic that he can get there mentally, or do you reach a certain point where it's like, okay, he's not going to figure it out?
I mean, you know what? I guess I would be a little concerned that he's making the same type of mistakes. I think it can be taught, but you know, the one thing I'll note that I noticed at the end of the preseason in St. Louis is that you could see him thinking on the ice. You could see him wanting to instinctually go behind the net and then realizing, oh, I can't, and having to get back. So right now, a lot of the things that he's fixing, he's trying to compute, but it's not instinctual yet. So I think it can. Look, he was a great player coming up in juniors, but when he dominated that World Junior Championships, he was also 20 feet above, higher than these guys. I mean, he was a huge man playing against kids, and now he's sort of, everybody's sort of caught up. So I don't know. I would say that, I am the king of like, he's just 21, give him time, but I am a little concerned on when he's going to get these kinks out of his game. I know the Wild still have all the belief and trust in the world with him. And I think that he has it. I mean, you see the raw talent that he has on the ice. He does things that are very, very special. It's just getting these little, huge event moments in games out of his game.
And I think on a positive note, as far as like the prospects goes, Yurov made his NHL debut on Monday night. And I thought he looked pretty good. He looked solid. He didn't blow you away, but he's not that kind of guy that blows you away, right? He's a very smart player. He won faceoffs at 75% of his faceoffs. He was on the forecheck. So I think, as you mentioned, that fourth line looked better on Monday night. So when you think of his debut, and you think that's a sign of things to come, where if he gets comfortable.
I liked it. There were times in that third period and that where Hynes was trying to get that line out there in areas where we didn't see them. The fourth line with Hunter Haight in the middle in the first two games, getting that type of trust. I still think there's a lot more from Liam Ogren that I'd like to see, or he's going to wind himself down in Iowa at some point. But what I liked about Yurov, and we just talked about Juracek, is that a lot of the things that they worked with Yurov on in training camp, grit, battles, all that we saw. The first period, that line didn't get a ton of ice time because of the power plays, but they started to play more and more. So, first good game. I feel bad for this kid still. His parents are trying to get his visa. His significant other is trying to get her visa. And it's just like they can't come. So he's also just alone on this island, playing these games. So I think it'll be great for him to get to New York next week. I think he'll feel a lot more comfortable on this road trip. He's going to play the Devils. He knows a lot of those guys from working out with them in the summer, guys like Brett Pesce. He's going to play the Rangers. He worked out with all those guys. So there's going to be this comfort level, I think, in a game like that. His agents will come to the games in New York and New Jersey as well. Maybe even Philly. So he'll have now people around him that he knows, whether he's competing against them or to take him to dinner and things like that. So I would not be shocked if we see a much more comfortable Danilo Yurov in the coming games coming up.
And I think give the other guys credit too. I think Kirill and Tarasenko have been really great with him. I've seen them work with him after practice and talk to him, and Kaprizov telling him hey, your time is going to come. Your time is going to come. Just be ready, and this is what to look for. And funny, Kaprizov even translated for him other day at the morning skate, which is kind of funny, them looking at each other back and forth. How much did Kirill help you? Kirill's like this. And so it's kind of a fun to speak English, and so I think having those guys around him has made a transition a lot easier, whether it was Kirill taking to Billy Sushi the other day or Tarasenko washing his clothes for him, or just kind of being
those are always the most awkward interviews, by the way. You do that a lot during a Stanley Cup final or East or conference final, because they'll put multiple people on the podium, and a lot of times they're sort of in relation to each other. So you're talking to Barkov and Lundell, but you got to do this feature on Lundell, but you got Barkov next to him. So you're asking Lundell, what does Barkov mean to you? And it's always those funny moments that actually lead to some personality in your articles. Yeah,
no, absolutely. So I think Yurov is going to be on his way up there. I think he'll get a chance to play his natural position in center, and he'll maybe, if the second line doesn't work out the next few games, they need to do something, Mike, because
well, yeah, I mean, it's that they don't want to break up Boldy and Kaprizov, but if you're on the road you might have to consider that at times. If it looks like you're getting no offense from everybody else, because that Rossi line's been so good, but they're at some point they are going to be enveloped, so to speak, by the opposition. So I actually think that having Johansson there makes a lot of sense right now. Unless Yurov's going to move up. Obviously, Foligno really didn't work there. They got to get Tarasenko going at even strength. He has 3 power play assists. But at least Johansson has, the ability to get the puck in the zone, and he can deliver the puck. I mean, the one thing about JoJo is that he has, got really good skills, got great hands. We saw with that overtime winner that Kaprizov scored last year, how, that last second one, how incredible a play that Johansson made. That might have even been in the finale, if I remember, Joe. And then, we saw the play that he made to Hartman in game 1 for the first goal of the season. And last night, Johansson had a great play right to Tarasenko that just got, deflected at the last second. So I do think that he probably makes the most sense right now until they can either make an acquisition, get Zuccarello back, or one of these kids starts playing above their means right now, and you can feel comfortable putting them in that type of role.
So if they were to break up Boldy and Kaprizov, like, what do you see as the ideal top 6? This interview is brought to you by our friends at Waggle Golf. Waggle Golf believes what you wear on the course should reflect your individuality, who you are, where you're from, your hobbies, interests, and passions. All the stuff that makes you, well, you. That's why every design is inspired by the desire to create a piece of apparel that strikes a chord when you see it, that makes you say, wow, that was made for me. Because in a lot of ways, it was. Ready to get your waggle on? Go to getyourwaggleon.com, throw in promo code SP10 at checkout to take 10% off your entire order.
I mean, I would probably, if they were to break them up, or you're talking when Zuccarello gets back?
I mean, like you're saying on the road, they might have to just because of matchup situations.
I mean,
like,
probably, I mean, really the only option would probably be put JoJo on the top line or Tarasenko on the top line and have a Johansson, Boldy, Eriksson Ek line, or
Rossi, Kirill, and Tarasenko line. Yeah.
That might have something that they might have to consider. I didn't know that nobody wants to do that because the two of them have been so good together, Boldy and Kaprizov, and Rossi always is going to be the forgotten man on that line, even though he doesn't deserve it.
Hey, Mike, is the jersey safe for a little bit at least?
Right now it is. Yeah, right now it is. Right now the Wild are swimming in center prospects. They got Stramel and Bennick and Riley Height and Hunter Haight, and so I don't know for how long, Scott.
Just for now, that works.
Yeah.
Let's talk goaltending a little bit. I know, Russo, you jinxed Gus with your opening night column on him for the next game, though we're not necessarily worried about Gustafsson and what he's going to do this year. I thought really was an important moment, I think, was Wallstedt on Monday night, his first start coming off that really rough season. And, it really could have been one of those moments where it's like, you blow a 3-goal lead and all of a sudden lose, and how you feel about yourself going into this week. And he really had a mindset that was really strong and sharp, and he really locked it down in overtime and 4 shootout attempts. And you can talk about the celebration, how much excitement and also like validation or relief or whatever. But he said he thought back to that last year in those moments, like, I know what it's like to mentally break down. I know what it's like to kind of, get lost or have a losing attitude. And he just flipped the script, and that's really showed a lot, I think, to me about what he can be this year. And I don't know what you thought about that game, but what can have a lingering impact.
I agree with you. I mean, I totally, and that's one thing we saw in the preseason. He had 2 starts where he gave up a couple early goals and settled in and was great. And this one could have crumbled him. The guy on the other end of the net, Kemper, we used to see that all the time from him, where he was great. And then all of a sudden he would just crater on a couple goals. And we saw that in Minnesota, and last night volley. I mean, the way that he rebounded in both, shootout, but especially on that 3-on-4 where he looked so at ease and everything was like almost in slow motion. I thought he looked outstanding, and so that's a good start. It's first home win. It's putting last season a little bit behind him. They're going to need him, as we've talked about a gazillion times, to win games this year. He's going to have to probably play in Philly, because I would assume that Gus gets tonight's game in Dallas. I would assume Gus gets the Washington game, just because Gus was not very good in Philly last season. In that weird game there where the Wild had a dominant performance out with a ton of shots and just he was not very good. I think he gave up 3 goals on 5 shots at one point in that game. So I would think that Wally's getting the second of back-to-back this week. So really good. As you mentioned with Gus, great opening night. I wrote the column that said that this is why the Wild invested in him. And then maybe in game 2, I should have said maybe the Wild should have invested. Maybe in the obvious column there. So we'll see. I mean, I do think that their goaltending right now is the least of their concerns. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I think it's a testament, too, that we pretty much did the whole rundown of all the kids. And William didn't come up, and he's usually the first person we mention with that. Like, has he just fit in seamlessly and just feels like he belongs immediately?
No, definitely not. No, I think that's why he was on the third pair yesterday. And I think that's where he should be right now until he's ready to play 24 minutes a night with Spurgeon. Columbus the other night exposed him at even strength, playing that type of minutes, which is why they secretly, at the morning skate, it didn't look like this, but why they going into yesterday's game, Middleton was back in the top 4 and Boylan was in the third pair. He's going to be a great hockey player. He's awesome on the power play. But right now, I think this is probably, they've got to figure out a way to maybe lower his ice time, especially on the road. So I like Boylan a lot. I think he's going to be a tremendous hockey player, but he's 19 years old. And I think that against Columbus, he looked at times at even strength.
Play like 24 minutes, which for a 19-year-old is pretty, you're going to get some tough moments in that stretch. Yeah. And like, he's got such a great attitude and confidence about it. Like, even if he has some mistakes, I think he can bounce back from it nicely. So, but yeah, I think putting him in that kind of a third pairing role and not having to force feed him to too many more, you have the depth to do it. You have the guys, the veterans to play that way. I have no doubt that by sometime this season, he'll be more in the top 4 too. He has that capability, but yeah, watch him on the power play. It's kind of a risk versus reward, but when he's on, it's a whole different level than we've seen with the Wild on the power play of how he can kind of dance around and like
ever
find Kirill and Boldy. Like those guys are just in motion. There's like poetry in motion there that they're just finding a way.
Well, that's the one thing about their power play that I love right now is the motion. Like Tarasenko is doing it too. It's creating chaos for the penalty kills, and we saw that yesterday. The last 2 games, their power play has been so good, and Boylan just fits in like a glove right now.
And I think one of the guys that, with the changing of the lines last game, really kind of gave them a little bit more of a shutdown line with Foligno and Hartman and Trenyon a bit. And I think Hartman's had a really good start to the season. Picked up where he left off last year, which I think will be really important with Nico Sturm out. They need some centers to deliver. And, clearly if they get the Ryan Hartman from the Vegas series over the course of a long season, it'll be a whole different level, I think, different element they could have up the middle for this team this year.
Yeah, I mean, and look, they could even move him to wing at some point if he's going to continue to play like this. I think that'd be tough just because he's been so good in the faceoff circle, although last night going against Kopitar, he wasn't very good. But I do think that, Hartman is really picked up where he left off in the playoffs. He's come into camp in outstanding shape. I wish he loved to talk about himself more. He's hard to write because he doesn't give you much when you ask him about his own personal play and how well he's playing. But look, he had a great offseason. Mentally, he has admitted that he's thought way too much about that offsides, the way that I'm sure John Hynes, Bill Guerin, and the entire fan base has, because the Wild would have been up 3-2. But look, I mean, Hartman, he's not going to blame Gus Nyquist or anybody for that. That's just, it's tough when you score a goal like that and you think you're going to maybe help lead this team to its first round advancement in, a decade. And then next thing you know, you're offsides. But that does happen to everybody. I mean, Adam Beckman will probably never score an NHL goal because of Ryan Hartman. So, so it happens to Hartsey too.
Yeah.
It'll be a 30 for 30 episode one time of all the guys that got their only goals in the NHL taken away from them.
Yeah.
And the guys that buying them dinner the next day is not going to help very much when you lose your first NHL goal. To do it.
Joe, did you have anything else before we close with one final one from Waggle?
No, I mean, I think obviously it's only 3 or 4 games in at this point when this thing drops, but clearly there's, a lot of intrigue about this team going into the year. There's still some questions that need to be answered, but I think going into this trip with some of the highlights that they had should give fans some kind of encouragement going forward that there are some bright spots ahead. But this trip will be a really big one and probably a really difficult one too, to see where they end up at the end of this road trip.
Yeah. How do I get one of those waggle hats, by the way, that Joe was wearing the other day at practice? That blue one I like.
I got one coming for you. That one I got to
Nice.
see because they don't have that one on the site, but I think they might have it in one of their like brick and mortar spots. So I will
Nice.
either snag that or we will find another suitable replacement for you. But
you can put it on the company card. Just go to one of their brick and mortar. Joe could put it on the Athletic.
There you go.
Oh no, we got it coming for you. Don't worry, Mike. Final question brought to you as always by our good friends at Waggle Golf. First, make sure you head over to getyourwaggleon.com. Throw in promo code SP10 to take 10% off your entire order. Guys, I'm sure you've been asked this plenty, but not something I've had a chance to ask either of you. And I do think it's something that some Wild fans understand and others are kind of questioning. You see Kaprizov sign biggest deal in league history. And then subsequently, you've got the Connor contract, you got the McDavid contract, you've got the Eichel contract. Do you look at the Kaprizov contract any differently because of those?
I think it'd be a lie if I said that I didn't. Look, he was always getting probably more than Draisaitl at $14 million. It's every team is a different situation. I feel like Connor McDavid's in a class by his own. He intentionally, we knew that he was going to sign under market value. I don't think any of us thought he would be $1.5 million under Draisaitl. But that's the way he wants to do on a shorter term deal. He's going to have a chance to strike it rich. He's also Connor McDavid. He's going to have generational wealth till the day he dies because he's Connor McDavid. Where maybe Kaprizov is not going to really get that, at least in this country. Maybe he will when he goes back to Russia. So it's very different. Where I don't like is that the other guys seem to be willing to play ball, and Kaprizov just listened to his agent, and his agent tried to and we said this, throughout, even when we were worrying on what this meant that he turned down the original contract. I think that we all sort of hoped that maybe at some point he was just listening to his agent and would instruct his agent to just get it done. But clearly that is what happened. But his agent, just even by the fact that he countered the $17 million deal with a more lucrative counteroffer, it just shows you that he was trying to, he had the Wild by the what, and he was trying to get every ounce of penny. I don't think he makes Kirill look great here. I just wonder deep down what Matt Boldy thinks that he's making $10 million less than him. Matt Boldy, though, at 29 years old, is going to be able to make an absolute fortune. So he'll make it up. Again, I think if it's 14.5 versus 17, is it a big deal? I think it is, because the Wild are going to have to pay other guys. This does take them out of certain players. Every penny you spend more. It just makes Kirill not look the greatest when it comes to, all right, you want to win, but really how much do you want to win? What's more important to you? So that's just my initial gut, but I think the Wild had to get it done, and Kirill Kaprizov, he's already shown 3 games into the season, is worth every penny.
And I agree with Mike on that, his point there, and also on more on the Wild side. I know it would be seen as being overpay, at least at this particular point. But I think Bill Guerin's point all along was if he doesn't sign here, he leaves. This is a whole kind of a mess situation. You have to risk how much you maybe overpay a little bit here, but know that to replace him or to see him walk out the door, the 5-year plan that Craig Leopold had would have turned into start over again, and they have to figure something else out. So, I think I didn't begrudge the Wild for paying that money if they had it for a guy like that who's a irreplaceable financial player. But I do see, the whole point that fans might have of he really wants to win. That's the most important thing to him, which he said to us multiple times. $60 million, 15.5, would that be fine? It is his last contract, most likely in his career. So I get that point of it too, and the cap will go up and this will be a certain percentage. But I think this deal will be judged in the next 3 or 4 years versus the next 3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah. And the other thing is, this does take money out of Zuccarello's pocket when he signs 8 one-year extensions. He's going to have to price now just to stick around this organization. So
I mean, maybe part of the negotiation was I just need a little bit of money on the side for my boy. That's how he's going to keep Zuccarello just hanging out just for the vibes. Do you think I don't think it'll make a difference for fans, but do you guys feel like it makes a difference that Kaprizov's kind of the first for Minnesota? Like, you can have this figure and you can build around it with a lot of contracts that are yet to come, rather than trying to fit this in like when they've already got a bunch of massive contracts in place?
Joe?
I mean, it's always good to have cost certainty, right? You don't have to worry about this for another 9 years. With him, I know you'll have to worry about, I don't know if Boldy's going to push past the $17 million all of a sudden.
100%. I mean, he might be a $25 million player by the time, his contract.
Is it 4 more years? I think it is.
5, right?
I think, yeah.
29, 25, 6, 7, 7, 8, or maybe 4.
But still, he'll probably be passing Kirill at that point, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But it does have cost certainty now. But I think the whole point in our story, I think last week, the Insider, was their window right now is the next 3 or so years, right?
Mm-hmm.
With Kirill in his prime, Boldy on that contract, Zeev William on his entry level deal, you have Gus signed, and this is the perfect storm or window for them to cap space, to make the moves to put them there, because eventually these guys are going to age and guys are going to age out. So I think this is the window right here, the next 3 or so years. So.
And it is 5 years for Boldy, by the way. So they got him till 2030 at $7 million. Oh my Lord! So
don't hit
Act 2, X contract's terrific as well. But absolutely. So fun start to the season. Mike, enjoy Vegas. I will be doing the DC, Billy, New York version of the trip, and we'll catch up with you guys another time soon.
Yeah, I won't see you for a while, Joe.
I'll leave Sammy for you if you want. You can watch Sammy again. So
yeah,
just to kiss you.
Yeah, I'll be out of town most likely.
No thanks. We'll give him to Scott. Thanks so much, guys.
Zamboni's on 7th, restaurant and bar right across the street from Grand Casino Arena in downtown St. Paul. You'll find a joke at 8 p.m. on Wednesdays. Enjoy happy hour food and drink specials when you stop in for the shows. Or if you've got something to say and enjoy stepping into the spotlight, go to zambonison7th.com and sign up to join the show. Spots fill up fast, and they do cap the number of comedians each week, so do not delay. Also, stay tuned for details on their once-a-month Friday night comedy show, Freaky Funny Fridays, beginning Friday, November 21st, featuring some of the hottest comedians in the Twin Cities. Zamboni's on 7th is a joke, but only on Wednesday evenings. And the occasional Friday. Thanks again. You guys are awesome. Appreciate you continuing to tune in every week. Again, if you haven't already, or if you happen to be one of the new listeners, be sure subscribe across the platforms, and definitely stay tuned for the upcoming weeks. We do have already a couple NHL players banked with interviews, some fun ones that are going to release, I believe, next week. Don't quote me on this, but I believe Nate Schmidt is next week, and he was an incredible interview, which should shock absolutely no one. But we're going to do our best to keep bringing you the best inside information and the best interviews we can. But to do that, please let us know every week if there are things that you have top of mind, things you don't understand, things you want to know more about, or just interview requests that you have across NHL. That could be media, that could be players, it could be Gopher players, past Gophers. Give us whatever you think would be a great interview, and we will do our best to secure the bag for you guys. But until next week, stay classy, stay to hockey.